guys, welcome back to Code Link. In this tutorial, we'll learn about how to make a class. So in a previous tutorial, we'll learn about functions. So in this example, we had the myNumber function and the myDisplay function. This time we're going to learn about class. So let's go to our Visual Studio Code and let us create a new file. Let's name it as class underscore sample.dart. Okay, and we'll have our void main function. Let's create our class. Let's say the class is my book. This is how you're going to write a class name. It is different from a function name because the function name is using camel casing, so you capitalize first letter of the word, but in class you capitalize all the first letter of each word. So in here, what we're going to do is we are going to, in order to access our class, we need to do instantiation. So type here, this is the format, the name of your class, and then the object name we want to use. Let's say we want to use MB equals, again, the name of the class with parentheses. Now, if you can encounter other tutorials that are giving you an instantiation that has a new here, in our example, we're not going to use the new. We'll just go directly with the name of the class. Then we'll try to pass arguments, like for example, a string, comma, and let's say the page of the book. Now, in order to access your class, you have to do instantiation. Without this, you can't access your my book class. And in this example, we're passing two values, actual values. The first one is a string, the second one is an integer. So in our my book class, in order to receive the values passed, is we want to make here variables like a string, let's say book, and another one, our next variable is the page. But because these are inside a class, they are called now properties. So these book and page are actually variables, but because they are inside a class, we'll call them properties. So in order to receive these values, we have to make here the properties. So the first one is a string, second one is an integer. So we have here two variables or properties. Now, what we're going to do, because when you pass these arguments, it won't be received here. So we have to make a constructor in order to receive these values. So how are you going to do that? The format is you type the name of the class, yes, the same name of your class name, and parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you can type here the parameters that you are going to use to receive these values. So let's say string m, now it's string book, comma, integer page. So in this case, it is saying that non-nullable instance field book must be initialized. So we have to initialize this one here to null, and then the page we can initialize this to 0. And then we can type here the keyword. We're going to use the keyword this. I'm going to explain to you this later. This that book equals book, and this dot page equals page. Okay. And then because we have made an instantiation, we can use this object now to access our properties or any methods that are inside our myBook class. So we'll type here MB, and then if we want to access these properties, we can select this one because this is the property here, semicolon. Then we want to print, for example, let's try to place this inside our print, save it, and then we'll run our application, our program, class sample. So we have here a display of the value that or the argument that has been passed to this class. But you see, these values are received here. So without a constructor, we cannot receive these actual values. So we have to make a constructor to receive the past values. But there's another way to make this more concise. So we don't have to do this here. We can directly you see it has the same name. The parameters that you are using has the same name with the properties that you have made. That is to give clarity. But if you don't want to have the same name, you want to change this property name to book 2 or page 2. So you can change this one also. It means the values that are being passed to this class will be received in this constructor, and then you are assigning the values received in these these parameters to these properties. So you really have to make properties here. In order to make this concise, we can directly assign the received values to these properties. So we don't have to make these. We can directly type here this dot, let's change this back to book and page, this dot book, comma, and this dot page. Okay, let's run our program. So we have Flutter. Now if you want to display the two properties using your main function, so you can place here code and $sign. But because this is not a variable, but this is an object name we use to access our properties in our myBook class, you have to place here curly brackets. So that's it. And let's say I'm gonna add string here, author, book name, and then space, let's say book page, then again mb dot page. We're gonna access this property, so paste there, curly brackets. This is for the string interpolation. Save it. Let's run it again. Now you have there book name Flutter and the book page 500. So this is how you are passing values or arguments to your class and then receiving these values inside your constructor and then placing these values received here to these properties is by using the keyword this. Okay, let's try to make let's try to make a function. Let's say the function name is void and then my display. So let's try here. Just gonna type here print and then let's say thank you. So in our void main function, we'll try to call the my display function. So it performs what is inside the my display function and it's just to print this on your screen. And then we'll try to run a program. So there we have it. The result is book name, Flutter book, page 500, and because we're calling the my display function, it displays thank you on the screen. So if you wanna place these actual values to a variable, because maybe you're gonna use the variables in the future, maybe we'll type here, let's say string book equals Flutter, and int page is equal to 500. Then you're going to pass these variables here that contain these values, book, comma, page. So the result will still be the same. Yes, it's still the same, but we just place the values inside these variables here, and then we're passing the variables here to our myBook class. It's receive again by our constructor, and then using the keyword this means we are assigning the values received by these parameters to these properties. So if you wanna print the received values not using the main function but in here, we can type here inside, let's say print book name, here $book, comma, book page, $page. So we can remove this to make this as comment. CLS, we'll try to run this again. Okay, now there you have it. In this example, we are printing the result inside the myBook class. So I hope you've learned something in this tutorial. That ends our tutorial using class in Dart. Thank you so much. Have a good one.